This is the Human Operating System Lab, where we learn how humans work, so we can build better lives, make better decisions, and help the people around us do the same. This is State Lesson 5, Focus and Attention. There is a quiet force shaping your state all day. Most people do not notice it. It is not your mood. It is not your personality. It is not even your thoughts. It is your attention. Where your attention goes, your nervous system follows. Where your focus stays, your state begins to form. And this matters because attention is not passive. Attention is not just something you have. Attention is something you aim. And wherever you aim it long enough, your body begins to respond. In the last lesson, we looked at posture and movement. We saw that the body is always sending information back to the brain. The way you stand, the way you sit, the way you move, and the way you carry yourself. All of these become signals. Signals that tell your system whether you are safe, ready, threatened, collapsed, alert, or engaged. But now, we move one layer deeper. Because your body shapes your state, but so does your focus. Your attention is like a spotlight, and whatever enters that spotlight becomes more real to your system. Not necessarily more true, but more active, more present, more influential. If you focus on a problem, your system begins organizing around the problem. If you focus on a threat, your body begins preparing for threat. If you focus on failure, your nervous system starts rehearsing failure. If you focus on possibility, your system begins searching for options. This does not mean attention magically creates reality. It means attention selects the reality your system prepares for. Think about this in a simple way. You can walk into the same room in two different states and notice two completely different worlds. When you are calm, you may notice the space, the light, the people, the opportunity. When you are anxious, you may notice the exit, the tension, the awkward silence, the possible mistake, the look on someone's face. Same room, different attention, different state, and in many ways a different experience of reality. Because the brain does not process everything equally. It filters, it selects, it prioritizes. And attention is one of the main ways your system decides what matters. This is why focus is not just a productivity skill. It is a state control skill. Attention tells the brain, this is important. And the brain responds by giving that thing more energy, more processing, more emotional weight, and more influence over your body. If your attention locks onto danger, your system prepares for danger. If your attention locks onto criticism, your system prepares for rejection. If your attention locks onto a task, your system begins organizing around the task. If your attention returns to your breath, your body may begin returning to regulation. This is one reason attention feels so powerful. It does not just observe your state, it participates in creating it. A simple model for this lesson is, attention becomes signal. Signal becomes state. State becomes behavior. What you focus on becomes a signal to the system. The system responds by shifting your state, and your state influences what you do next. This loop is running all the time. Attention, state, behavior, attention, state, behavior, over and over again. The problem is that most people do not choose the first part of the loop. Their attention gets pulled. By notifications, by stress, by fear, by comparison, by unfinished tasks, by imagined conversations, by what might go wrong, by what someone thinks, by what already happened, by what may never happen. And without realizing it, they allow their state to be shaped by whatever captures their attention first. This is one of the hidden costs of modern life. Your attention is constantly being competed for, not only by people, but by platforms, devices, alerts, feeds, messages, advertisements, conflicts, headlines, and endless fragments of information. Each one pulls at the spotlight and each one says, "Look here, care about this, react to this, compare yourself to this, worry about this." And if your attention is constantly being pulled, your state is constantly being pulled with it. This is why scattered attention often creates a scattered state. Not always because life is overwhelming, but because the mind has been trained to jump, and every jump has a cost. Every shift requires the system to reorient. Every interruption asks the brain to reload context. Every alert becomes a small command. Stop what you are doing, turn toward me, and make me important. Over time, this can make the body feel tense, the mind feel fragmented, and the emotional system feel unstable. Not because something is wrong with you, but because your attention has been repeatedly captured, split, and redirected. This is why attention must be trained, not forced, trained. There is a difference. Forcing attention usually creates tension. Training attention creates control. The goal is not to stare harder. The goal is to return better. That is one of the most important ideas in this lesson. Focus is not the ability to never get distracted. Focus is the ability to notice distraction and return. Again and again and again. This is how attention becomes a skill. You do not build focus by being perfect, you build focus by returning. Let's make this practical. Imagine you are trying to work, study, write, train, or listen to someone speak. At first, your attention is on the task, then something pulls it away. A thought, a sound, a notification, a worry, a memory, a feeling in the body. Most people interpret that moment as failure. They think, "I lost focus." But that is not the full picture. The important moment is not the distraction. The important moment is the return. Because every time you return attention deliberately, you are training the system. You are teaching the brain, this is the chosen signal. This is where energy goes. This is what matters right now. That return is the repetition. That return is the rep. Just like posture can be practiced, attention can be practiced. Just like breathing can be regulated, attention can be redirected. Just like movement can change your state, focus can organize your state. Now let's look at 3 forms of attention. The first is captured attention. This is when something takes your attention without your permission. A notification, a sudden noise, a fear, a craving, a headline, a conflict. Captured attention is reactive. Something outside or inside you grabs the spotlight, and your system follows. The second is scattered attention. This is when attention keeps jumping. A little here, a little there. One tab, one message, one task, one thought, one worry. Scattered attention creates a scattered signal. The system does not know what to organize around, so your state can feel restless, unfinished, and unresolved. The third is directed attention. This is attention chosen on purpose. You select the object, you return to it, you protect it, you stay with it long enough for your system to organize around it. Directed attention is powerful because it gives your nervous system a clear instruction. Not everything matters right now. This matters right now. This is not only useful for work, it matters in emotional control too. When you are angry, attention often narrows onto the offense. What they said, what they did, what it means, why it was wrong, why it should not have happened. The more attention stays there, the stronger the anger becomes. When you are anxious, attention often moves into the future. What if this happens? What if I fail? What if I am judged? What if I cannot handle it? The more attention stays there, the stronger the anxiety becomes. When you are ashamed, attention often moves on to the self. What is wrong with me? Why did I do that? How did I look? What do they think of me? The more attention stays there, the heavier the state becomes. Again, this does not mean the situation is imaginary. It means attention is amplifying the signal. And if attention can amplify a state, attention can also help regulate it. Not by pretending, not by denying, but by redirecting. A useful question is, what is my attention feeding right now? Not, what am I thinking? Not even, how do I feel? But, what is my attention feeding? Is it feeding fear? Is it feeding resentment? Is it feeding distraction? Is it feeding comparison? Is it feeding the task? Is it feeding the breath? Is it feeding the next right action? That question creates space, and space creates choice. Because the moment you can observe attention, you are no longer completely inside it. You can begin to direct it. Here is a simple exercise. Call it the attention reset. It takes less than 1 minute. First, pause. Do not fix anything yet, just pause. Second, notice where your attention is. Not where it should be, where it actually is. Is it on the task, the phone, a person, a worry, a memory, a future outcome, a feeling in your body? Third, name it quietly. Attention is on the problem. Attention is on the phone. Attention is on the future. Attention is on what they think. Attention is on the mistake. Fourth, choose one target, one breath, one sentence, one movement, one sound, one step, one task, one person in front of you. Fifth, return attention there, gently, clearly, on purpose. And when attention leaves again, return again. That is the practice. Not perfect attention, returned attention. Let's try it now. Where is your attention? Just notice. Is part of it listening? Is part of it thinking about something else? Is part of it waiting for the next thing? That is not a problem. Just notice it. Now choose one target, the sound of this voice, or the feeling of your breath, or the weight of your body. Choose one, and bring your attention there. Now keep it there for one breath, just one breath. If your mind moves, return. That return is the training. Again, one breath, return, one breath, return. This is how attention becomes usable, not through force, through repetition. Now let's connect this back to state. When attention stabilizes, state often stabilizes. When attention narrows, state often intensifies. When attention scatters, state often fragments. When attention returns, state begins to reorganize. This gives you a practical tool. When your state feels off, do not only ask, "What am I feeling?" Ask, "Where is my attention?" Because attention may be the handle. And once you find the handle, you can begin to move the system. There is also a deeper lesson here. Attention is a form of respect. What you give attention to, you give energy to. What you repeatedly give energy to, you strengthen. This is true in learning. It is true in relationships. It is true in fear. It is true in identity. It is true in behavior. A person becomes shaped, in part, by what they repeatedly attend to. Not in one moment, but over time, day after day, signal after signal, return after return. This is why protecting your attention matters, not because you need to be productive every second, but because your attention is part of your operating system. It determines what gets processed, what gets amplified, what gets practiced, and what begins to feel normal. So the goal is not to control every thought. That would create more tension. The goal is to become more aware of the spotlight. Where is it pointed? Who is moving it? What is it feeding? And can you bring it back? That is the skill. That is focus. Not rigid, not strained, not harsh. Focused, flexible, directed, available. Here is the tool for this lesson. Name the target before you begin. Before work, name the target. Before a conversation, name the target. Before training, name the target. Before studying, name the target. Before entering a stressful situation, name the target. Ask yourself, what am I choosing to attend to? Maybe the target is the next paragraph, the person speaking, the feeling of the breath, the first 5 minutes, the task in front of me, the next honest action, the next calm response. This gives the system a clear instruction. Without a target, attention gets captured. With a target, attention has somewhere to return. So before you begin something important, do not just start. Aim. Choose the signal. Then return to it, again and again. Because the return is the training. And the training becomes control. The assignment for this lesson is simple. At least 3 times today, pause and ask, where is my attention right now? Then ask, what is it feeding? Then choose one target and return to it for 1 breath. That is all. 1 breath, 1 target, 1 return. Do it while working. Do it while walking. Do it before checking your phone. Do it during a conversation. Do it when you feel your state beginning to shift. This is not about becoming perfectly focused. It is about becoming less automatic. Because when you can direct attention, you can influence state. And when you can influence state, you can influence behavior. Attention becomes signal. Signal becomes state. State becomes behavior. So choose the signal carefully. Because what you attend to, you train. And what you train, you become. In the next lesson, we will look at thoughts and interpretation. Because attention decides what enters the spotlight, but interpretation decides what it means. And meaning is one of the strongest forces shaping your state. I'll see you in the next lesson.